the life before I followed Jesus. And I want you to understand something, though, that as a little girl, I loved God. It was very unusual for me to just love Him automatically that much. I was raised in a Christian family, a Catholic family. I wasn't raised in a Pentecostal or even that type of family, but a family that believed in God. Little tiny town, in the South. Everybody know everybody, you know what I mean? So it's just a very typical, upbringing. Nothing to do with the occult, in my family or anything like that. But as a very little girl, I started dabbling with a Ouija board. And then it just was insatiable appetite for me. And as soon as I got to school and learned to read, I've always been an avid reader, which makes me a great author, I guess, because I read all my life. And I'd go to the library and I would get books on fortune telling and witchcraft and astrology and with Salem witch trials, anything I could get my hands on. It just got worse and worse and worse. And my parents began to watch my personality change. Now, I've always been more of the outgoing, more tend to be rebellious type child. I was never, the meek, mild-mannered kind of kid. So they thought, it's a phase that she's going through. My testimony includes, I am so outgoing that when I was actually born dead, it's another whole long part of my testimony, but I was a stillborn baby. And I'm a living miracle. And my mom says there's nothing that could stop this child. And it's very interesting. I've written about in one of my books that's going to come out how God brought me into this world. There was a tornado when I was born. And then, of course, I was dead. It's just right. I never do anything normally, okay? I'm calm, So, I come into a room, I'm there. And so I was born with a tornado. And then God brought a hurricane to teach me trust. Everybody's looking out the window now. What's coming next? Tsunami. Actually, really, I was in a hurricane, and that's how He reached me another way. And then a tsunami is like, what else is He going to send, okay? It's like, you can stop now? No, I think I got the message. So, I've always been this child, so I started getting really rebellious. Well, then as I got into grade school, higher up grade school, and the beginnings of high school, I became very rebellious. And I started running with the wrong crowd of kids. I started drinking very heavily, doing drugs, doing everything. And lo and behold, embraced witchcraft. Tried to hide it. I didn't make it so blatant how my parents, for example. They didn't really realize a lot of what was going on in my life. And so my mom would be here and she would say to you, pay attention to what your children are reading, what the games are playing, the music they're listening to, the people they're hanging with, because you just don't know. And Satan is so sly. And he uses the same schemes every generation. He just packages them in a different way.
Right.
And I strongly believe, and I know I step on some toes when I say this, but the Harry Potter series of books and movies, I've had to look into them because I need to know what I'm talking about. And the blatant witchcraft. That's just all they are. There's a lot of wonderful books to read. I like fantasy as much as anybody else, and science fiction, and all that can be fun, as long as it's, not of the enemy. And Harry Potter is simply total witchcraft, pointing kids that way. I know that if I had read it when I was a little girl, it would have just helped with a few of the flame, So here I was, and eventually I left home. I ended up on the street in Hollywood, California. I got pregnant. I had an abortion. Just not a good life. And I'm always amazed, more than anybody in this room or any room that I go speak in or sing in, that God would use me. Why me? I'm so unworthy of a person. You think that there's all these wonderful Christian girls out there, and He chose me because He's a relentless God that loves us. And many times the rejects of the world are the ones that He uses to change the world. And so I have followed Him. I I made my way to Las Vegas, Nevada, because I had a brother that lived there. And I was taken to a church. I met a bass player. It's a very long testimony. But a lot of it involves Hawaii, too. I went on tour in Hawaii with a rock band singing hard rock music, not a Christian. And came here firstly as a secular singer, making a lot of money singing in the clubs. Can you believe that? Annie Meadows, at one time, and maybe those you were not saved at that time, maybe you saw me in one of those clubs. You're back there going, "That's me!" Yeah, I remember you. And I mean, I was a completely different human being. The way I dressed, the way I talked, the way I sang, and it amazes me. And then God, with His sense of humor, sends this club singing girl back to Hawaii to ministry to people. And the ministry that happens with me is not just singing in a church, which is wonderful, and or singing, being the speaker at a prayer breakfast or a ladies' luncheon. It's just in being with the people. Just in the Starbucks and the Verizon stores and things like that. And that's what I seek to do. Here's what I tell people. I say I'm like a shark circling, watching, waiting for that one. And I'm known for that. I know I'll just go, like people, I'll go up to somebody, just anybody, sitting there having their Starbucks, I'll go over and I'll go, "Excuse me." They'll go, "Yeah." They'll think maybe I'm telling them they dropped something on the floor or whatever. I'll go, "Do you know Jesus Christ?" They don't know what to say. Of course, everybody that's around them goes like this. Kids in the books, like, I'm in my iPad now, so, not me. I do things like that, but I also, like tonight was the neatest thing I share with Sabrina. I just have to, because I do this because I want you all to know you do not have to be a gospel singer to minister to people.
Right.
And the thing is if you will open your life up to allow God to use you, you will be used. And the joy that you will get from that, you'll be elated. Trust me. The first encounter you have, and some of you already know it, you've already done this. Some of you are afraid and you haven't done this. But the first encounter that you have, you'll walk away like this. It's so good. You kind of be real calm from a person. Yes, God bless you and everything. And that happened. I'm sitting, okay, here's what God does. Because I've learned now, I'm really learning, Pastor Anthony. I had my phone, and one of the managers of Verizon in Las Vegas is on my board of directors. So he tells me everything about my phone. Trust me, I know nothing about the phone. He just tells me what to do. You point this button and do this. So they have an what do you call it, an app? I call it an application because I'm a literary person. Now, trust me, the next time you go in Starbucks and say that to them, they look at you. I go, "Do you take the Starbucks application?" The what? The Starbucks application. App? Oh, app! What happened to the world? There's no words anymore. It's like, instead of saying hello, it's like, hey! So anyway, I go to Starbucks where I got to talk. Sabrina calls me there, and in fact, she goes, "Are you still coming?" I've got a voice. Can you talk? And so I sit in Starbucks, I'm working on some of my books, and it's about, 3:30 or so. And I go to do my Starbucks app to get my tea. So I go up, it won't work. It comes a little, you hate those messages? Cannot work at this time. It's like, this is the time I want tea. You cannot work when I'm sleeping tonight, but right here I need tea. There's my money. So I go up to her and I go, "My app is not working. Can you show me what to do with this?" And she goes, "I don't know." So no, and now you would think, okay, the old Annie before the tsunami would have gone, "I can't believe this. Come over to Hawaii, the app doesn't work." Get all red in the face, and I'm sitting there, Now I've learned. You go through a few tsunamis and hurricanes, everything, all of a sudden you're calm. Okay, so I go, well, okay, I just go get some money and pay for my tea. So I do, and I call Rick Verizon, I call it, my board of director in Vegas. I call him in Vegas. I tell him. He goes, well, I don't know. He goes, I tell you what you should do. Go to the nearest Verizon, and then maybe they can show you. I said, well, that's great. I'll come. And so I do. So I work on my books for like an hour or so, and I think, well, let me just go see if there's a Verizon before I head over to meet Sabrina. I walk out of Starbucks like this. My rent-a-car's down here. I walk like this when I rent a car. I go like this, Verizon. So I go in, and there's this gentleman, and he's at the counter with only one person working. Of course there would be, but I got to come to Kaneohe and sing. So I'm sitting there being the very calm, polite gospel singer. And this guy is going like this. He's going to the girl. He's going, I don't know anything. I'm not a computer person at all, and I just don't know how to work this phone. And they're going on. She goes, well, let me call. And I'm going, God, this is going to be a long time. So I just go like this after a little while. Wait for 5 minutes, and I go, excuse me? Like that. And they both turn around, and I go, so sorry. I'm a gospel singer on tour, and I can speak. He's making fun of his, and Pastor Anthony knows the sign. In 2011, when I was coming here with no voice, I had the bright idea of I had to go to the airport. People were going to ask me a question. I can't speak. So I make a little sign up. And it says on the sign, hi. People probably think she wants money. It might work. Maybe I should do that. I'm a gospel singer. Would you donate? I put, hi, my name is Meadows. I'm a gospel singer, and I can't speak. I don't know why I put it, but every person I showed it to, and it took me a long time to figure out why they're laughing. People start asking something, I go like this, and they go, this is so funny that I can't speak. They're probably thinking, oh, she probably does sign language to music. I go like this, I say, I just want to interject here for just a moment. Excuse me. He goes, that's okay, that's okay. I said, I'm a gospel singer, and I'm doing a concert in Kaneohe, and my Starbucks ad won't work, and my money's on there. I want tea while I'm here. He goes, oh, let me take a look. He goes, that's okay, take a look at it. So she takes a look at it, make a long story short, you're all probably dying for what is it? What was the problem? It was, get this, you're all going to love this. An update. Oh, you hate them? It's like you're hanging from a cliff like this. We can't get the rope because we got to give them the update first. What is this with updating? I need the tea now. Update when I get back to Vegas, okay? So she goes on, she fixes it like right away. And I go, this is amazing. Well, then I get to talking to him a little bit. Lo and behold, he said, oh, he says, I'm just coming back to the Lord. I sit there and I minister to this guy in Verizon. I go out to my car, I get one of my cards, bring it in, go to their website, you can see where I'm singing. I'm going to be singing over here in Mililani. He goes, I'm going to come out. He goes, I'm getting back to the Lord and everything, So God did all of that. So I could be in that Verizon at that moment to minister to that man. Then when I got in my car, I looked in the Verizon, and another fellow walked over to him, and they're both looking at the card, and they're both talking about it and everything. I'm thinking, all because of that app. God messed that app up. Now, what if I got mad? You see what I'm saying? It's just in the right place at the right time, but how is he going to get you in there? I mean, really? I mean, I guess he could have sat there in Starbucks and goes, go next door to the Verizon because you're going to minister to a God. God never works easy. You ever notice that? He doesn't make it easy. He's like, go to Verizon. There's a guy there. Now, he did that with the Apostle Paul and those guys, but I guess they were better than us. I don't know. For us, he has to frustrate us. The app doesn't work, duh. Verizon's next door. What is it with this guy? But I love God so very, but that story has absolutely nothing to do with Song was saying. Just that he is definitely an unfailing God. That's what the song is all about. I love God. I love God with all my